All right, welcome back. We're turning our attention now to that matter about the Conference of Parties 28, the reactions coming through. We've got Dr. Yunus Atanko, who is the chief spokesperson for Labour Party's Presidential Campaign Council. He joins us virtually from Kaduna. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay, so let's go over this. I mean, this Conference of Parties 28 in Dubai, the list of delegates for different countries, so looking at that chart, which got us to where we are here today. So how many delegates each country brought came under scrutiny. And so you look at that of Nigeria, where we had 1,411 delegates. So you can look at that chart, you see UAE, Brazil, China, Nigeria, Indonesia, and it goes on like that. So that graph just shows you where Nigeria fell in. So you can see the list of our delegates, the Conference of Parties, the parties themselves, and then you also see that of the overflow. I think that should come up now, guys. And so you look at all of that, which is how this question now came through. But it was based on this that your principal, Mr. Peter Obi, then went ahead and tweeted that, in a twist of sad irony, let me congratulate the giant of Africa, Nigeria, for matching the great China with the same number of contingents at the ongoing COP28 in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Nigeria's contingent to COP28 totaled 1,411, the same number as the Chinese contingents, while China's budget for 2024 is about $4 trillion, about $2,280 per head. Nigeria's budget is about $33 billion, about $165 per head. China has a high Human Development Index with a ranking of 79 out of 191 countries, and Nigeria has a low HDI with a ranking of 161 out of 191 countries measured. And then he goes on to say, most importantly, the vast majority of those in the Nigerian delegation to COP28 are either non-relevant civil servants or relations, friends, and hangers-on of high government officials. Most of them hardly understand or have anything to do with climate change. So that then, of course, raises a lot more questions, because there's been some response to coming through from the authorities, which we'll go to soon. But would you go ahead and tell us, how did he arrive at the conclusion that most of those who are there are not relevant? I mean, this suggests that he thinks that they're all sponsored by government.
Well, the question we want to ask is that, was there any communication by the government to the people of Nigeria that we are going with X amount of numbers? If, for example, the target is for us to ensure that we are trying to increase the per capita income of Nigerians, we could have said that, okay, we are going with the Ministry of Mining, or we are going with the Ministry of Petroleum, and we are going with the minister or with a technical member who can be able to convince certain number of international community in trying to bring in more income to the country. None of it was done. Everything was kept in a shrewd, and the only thing we see, bam, we saw the numbers of 1,411 persons going to Dubai. What I would call, come, let us go and chop and relax. Because rather than you come, let us go and make money for Nigeria, there was no communication. So you could find it very difficult to understand exactly how did they come about that particular number. What are they going there to do? And who are they meeting? If it's a delegate of party, if this particular ministry or Ministry of Budget and Planning is thinking about how to work with certain particular group of people, or you talk about Ministry of Mines and Power, now you are meeting maybe a Chinese industry or Chinese ministry to think about how we can improve the power sector in the country. these are some of the plans that they ought to have been done, and letting the people know the quality of people that are going with Mr. President and what are the costs. Because we are running a country where we have a proposed budget of 27 trillion naira. We have a deficit in that particular budget of 9 trillion naira. We have in that budget a recurrent expenditure of 9 trillion naira. We have a capital budget of that particular of this country within 8 trillion naira. And then at the same time, we have a service debt of 8 trillion naira, meaning that the deficit in the budget is more than even the capital expenditure.
Okay.
And it's even...
No, Tanko, pardon me to jump in. I mean, I hear you. So if you say that all of those details were not put out before the Nigeria went out there, I hope you can hear me though. So yes, how did Mr. Peter Obi arrive at this conclusion? And yourself too saying it appears this is just for them to come and chop. What did you rely on to come to that conclusion?
No, because that was chopped out, it's very clear. Nobody, even you are not abreast or probably aware of that particular number until when the number comes out. So definitely you will work with the numbers that were shown vis-a-vis the non-information that the government gave out. So even myself, I do not even know the numbers until when I saw it in the papers yesterday night.
So the thing is this, I mean, in terms of what we are aware of, what we're not aware of, I haven't told you what we're aware of as of yet, but the explanation that came through from government is that contrary to what, including yourself and Mr. Obi have said, that the assumption that all of them were sponsored by government, they say no, that is not the case. That the list of those who were sponsored by government was minimal. In fact, they went ahead to explain that it's conference of parties, interested parties. They could be civil society, it could be NGOs, it could be state governments, different people, but the federal government didn't sponsor all of that 1,411.
They should give us what they sponsored. You see, in a country where planning and communication is topmost notch, the government will tell you, we are going with X amount of number of people. And this particular amount of people may cost us so extra amount of money because we are trying to build trust here with the people. This money does not belong to an individual. It's a taxpayer's money. And so it must be accounted for. Just like my principal used to say, Peter Obi would say that, look, any money that is in the government coffers belong to the people and it must be accounted for the people. So yeah. When you...
Yeah, because I'm just looking at, when your principal says the vast majority of those there are non-relevant, they're civil servants or relations and friends and hangers-on of high government officials, most of them hardly understand anything. So this presupposes that he's seen the breakdown of the list, who was where. And he might have also seen that those who registered were all physically present. Is it because some are saying, look, yes, some people registered, some were not. But comparing the statement of your principal and that of the PDP, because PDP says, look, they want the roll call and the cost incurred by federal government and these delegates. They want to see it because I think from their statement, they haven't seen it, so they couldn't come to any conclusion. But since your principal came to a conclusion, it presupposes that he's seen all of that. Has he seen it?
Look, we have a track record of wasteful spending. This is not the first time Peter Gregory Obi is making statements as regard to wasteful spending. Remember, there was a meeting that happened in the United States, and that particular same trend was established. So that gives him a kind of a leeway to knowing that this is a trend that is continuous. So those statements come out of the trend of the continuous way in which Nigerian government, especially this particular government, spends money without really looking at the income of what is being generated for you to spend as against the people. So it's an established trend. So even if they give you details of it, that will have helped to even give you a fact of the matter. As we speak now, these are trends that Peter Obi and many Nigerians rely on.
That's to say that no matter what the maybe Ministry of Information says much later, or even if they publish what the PDP is asking them to publish, it doesn't matter. Your principal has made up his mind that the trend continues.
Don't forget, we're in the digital world. Nothing is hidden in this sky. The number of people that travel can be easily accessed from the airline industry, even though there's confidentiality, but they could easily be accessed. Where they stayed, in the hotel where they stayed, the amount of money that was used for this, it can easily be accessed by you and I. Within a short period of time, you just get the information. So it is still easy. Whether the Ministry of Information does that or it doesn't do that, Nigerians are sure to monitor every kobo that belongs to them and how it is spent. It can be done.
Okay, so
we are only asking the record, and even now, as I mentioned it, it's just to put a stamp to the authority because we want a certified true copy. Even that word now, anyway, is now a questionable word in our courts. But then you will have it as a record to show that there is information saying that the federal X amount of money on this particular project or particular.
If you're asking for
to the company,
true copy, that means that you haven't seen it. You haven't seen the document, the list.
No.
Oh, because I was wondering. That's what I was asking.
Of the expenditure.
What did your principal rely on to make this comment? Because this comment, many are taking it to the bank, saying this comment is true. But if you're now saying that, well, you haven't seen it, you want a copy, so you made a statement without seeing the list. Like I said, every Nigerian can access each of the number of persons that traveled. Our principal, very possible information must have been given to him as regard to those who travel, how they travel. Just like I told you, it's a jet age now. It's easily accessible. Even in the airline industry, it's very, very easily accessible. But for him to make those particulars, and for your own questions, now, asking for data or certified true copy from the government is just put to pay what our principal have said. It's not rocket science, it's not hidden. But then, if they didn't come from them, we'll keep on accusing them of mismanaging and misappropriation our resources. They have to come clean.
So, Mr. Yunusa, this conversation's one that we all know that is very sensitive to Nigerians, and they want to get things really clear. So let's look at things here. COP28 is usually a gathering of different parties for different occasions. If the presidency has already said that they only sponsored about 100 people, and the whole delegation of Nigerians, I mean, even if you go to, let's say, for instance, you go to the carbonbrief.org, you see that there are IGO observers, International Governmental Organization observers, there's non-governmental organization observers that are all there. There are different events happening on the fringes, and different organizations that are interested in global partners or global investors or foreign direct investments can go to these conferences and seek for investors to join them. And guess what? They will be bearing the Nigerian flag. How is that a problem?
Okay, let me explain to you. I am not stranger to COP gathering. I was in COP program in Doha. You can Google it and you will see. And I even granted that interview. I was not sponsored by the government. I was not sponsored by the government. There are various NGOs, particular NGOs have opportunities of getting international funding who sponsor their trip. That one is fact. But then what we are saying is that the delegate number of Nigerians sponsored by the government should have been made public for us to know. If the government is saying that they didn't sponsor all of the 1,411 delegates, let them give us the delegate number in which the government sponsored. Okay, we saw it, even if I'm not mistaken.
Let's just clear this here. When you went to Doha, you mentioned you went to Doha. Were you grouped under the Nigerian delegation, even though you were not sponsored by government?
I was not grouped under government delegation. I was
I said Nigerian.
The NG.
Were you grouped under the Nigerian delegation?
Hello?
Yes?
Come again?
When you went to Doha, were you recorded as being under the Nigerian delegation? I didn't say government or non-government. Nigerian delegation.
No. you will not be grouped under Nigerian delegation. There are groups A class, B class, C class, where you belong to. We belong to, I went under the civil society groups. And already it was clear. You have a civil society, they can give you a breakdown of those who come under the government coffers. And there are those who come under NGOs. There are those who come under the business sector who want to do business different from even government, private business sector. It's very clear. But we are talking about the government delegates in particular. Now, this is very clear, specific.
Okay, Mr. Yunusa, if we can just get that graphics up there. The charts we have from COP28 delegates shows two groups of people. There are those who are called the party, and the other group is called the overflow. When you were there, were you in the party or the overflow?
No, like I told you, I don't know what the category looks like now, but maybe that may be categorized under overflow, considering the fact that we are under the civil society groups, okay? Maybe, and then the particular new grouping that they have may indicate these are actually recognized government officials. And that is the reason why we are asking for clarity. Now, you asking me right now, I am not a government official. I can only go ahead to go and look for information as regard to who and who travel under the government payroll. So if the government want to come clean, this is a lesson for them. Already the people have accused the government of wasteful spending. Earlier on, United States for a meeting and all of that. So they should have been more careful as regard to when they are going to Dubai. But anyway, the problem is that the government itself does not really care what the people feel. They hold them in high pain and distrust. And these are some of the lies that is in the system, which Nigerians are demanding for accountability.
As a matter of fact, yes, Mr. Tanko, because we want to be sure that the statement that government has put out there, they're not lying to Nigerians. So when we're asking for documents that you have, and compared to the ones out there and some of the ones we have, we want to be sure that, look, they're not lying to everybody else out there. But of course, we expect them to come clean, publish, come up with all of those documents. If government says, well, we sponsored what, how many? 100? Is that to say that 100 is from the presidency? Is it from ministries? Is it from agencies? Because even if it's from state government, that's government. If it's from MDAs, that's government. If it's from presidency, that's government. So all of those things are things that we want proper breakdown from them compared to the lists that several other people, including us, have. So those are the things that we just want to go ahead and clarify. So maybe we'll wait and see how many or what kinds of information they come through with, as a matter of fact, on this particular one, so that at least, because whatever happens, they will need to explain to the people who are those that went there, because there's a list out there in terms of even registration, on-site registration. Because, just as you said, if you went as an NGO, yes, you'll be categorized as part of Nigeria that came there. Maybe you're not in government, clearly. So those are the kind of things that we're looking to see how that comes through. Is that part of what you expect the authorities to also publish?
The authority have the honors of proof to Nigeria. We are lucky today. We have the voice to challenge the government to tell us which one is the fact. You see, this particular government and some of the past government are very good in keeping information away from the Nigerian people. Even if they try to cook up numbers now, it won't work. Because now what we will do, of course, is to, when they give us, and they bring out their actual numbers and give us details of the breakdown and say to Nigerian people, this is the X amount of money that was spent or budgeted for this particular movement, and so numbers went from each ministry on each department or so. This is now a confirmed statement of proof by the government. We will now put it against some of the information that we have or we may have or we may investigate to know this is exactly the numbers of what was sent, and then it will be their words against ours. But as it is now, Nigerians are under the fact that this particular government has embedded itself in wasteful spending in the midst of nowhere, where you are servicing a budget of 8.28 trillion naira and a deficit budget of 9 point something trillion naira, which is, of course, unbelievable. And these are some of the things that we cannot continue to be wallowing in poverty and debt while the government officials enjoying themselves at the expense of the people.
So has your party, either your principal or yourself, have you done any of such scrutiny previously regarding the previous trips that Nigeria also made, including the presidency, maybe to Germany, to Saudi Arabia, to UN? Have you turned on your searchlight previously? Did you find anything untoward?
Well, we did. Some of the things that we did was that some of our Nigerians, Nigerians are vastly knowledgeable and they travel everywhere. You may be surprised that the number of the GOP 28 is more than one, according to, like you say, you group Nigerians that travel for that particular program, maybe more than 1,411. I can assure you that. Because there are different people who must have traveled. And so, over the years, we become more interested in how the spending of the government is against what we have as a country. So, our people, those partners, young boys and girls, very young boys and girls who are living and staying outside this particular country, don't forget, Dubai is just like Ojo Elegba for Nigeria. Many Nigerians are in Dubai. Many. And most of them are almost workers within this particular system, because most of the Dubai citizens may not engage in the working of that particular organization or host country. So many of them may be Nigerians. I'm sure there are Nigerians in that particular organization. And so therefore, information that they are looking at why their government is spending so much at the expense of them having to travel outside Nigeria to Dubai to go and work hard just to make a living because the country is not stable enough for them to make an income. And here they are all flexing, going to shopping malls, going to artificial beach, going to fanciful hotels, and Nigerians are saying that. So definitely they will raise questions. So our investigation will rely on this particular information that Nigerians themselves give out. And now, what we are asking that from that particular information, it is now left for this particular government to come clean or be careful. Because the Nigerian youth and the Nigerian citizens are on their radar. That one is sure.
One of the things that, one of the natural questions that comes to me here is to ask the question, what, in your opinion, would be an appropriate number that should have escorted the president to COP28? I remember reading a report which says that an African country, president of an African country, I'm not sure whether it was Uganda or Kenya, personally took responsibility to look at the numbers and say, look, cut this number from whatever number of hundreds of people that were supposed to go with him, almost 1,000 or maybe about 1,000 people that were supposed to go with him, cut it below the number 100, below the number 100. So from your own understanding, having been to COP and having a fair understanding of what happens at COP meetings, what would have been an ideal number that should have accompanied the president to Dubai?
When we prioritize our reason for going to COP, we have very serious problem in the country. One, it has to do with the issue of unemployment for the Nigerian youth. Two, we think about the issue of power sector. Three, we think about how to diversify our economy from a one-legged economy, which is petroleum, to other. And then four, we talk about the issue of security. Now, if the government can be able to surpass this particular four very important things, let me add the last one, education. Now, five, in each ministry, you have people who are, saddled with the responsibility of data gathering and suggestion on how we can be able to achieve going over these particular 5 items that I mentioned within a threshold of 50. You cannot go more than that. Within a threshold of 50, it makes sensible reason, so that you can be able to spend and you can be able to connect. Even as we speak right now, with all of these humongous delegates, Mr. President may not even be able to have a data or connectivity of what were you able to achieve in the power sector with so person. What were you able to achieve in the educational sector? What have you been able to bring in from the security sector? These are very concrete information that Mr. President needs to take decisions on. But at this point in time, I can tell you by the time it's the Jamboree visit, when you come back home, there may not be any information, and before you even get the information, maybe it might be 6 or 7 months. Other things would have overtaken it. So go with a sizable number that you can manage, and the people will see the prudency in your expenditure, and then it comes with results. It is very important. There's a communication that is being filled, because we have a communication gap between the elect and the elect and the electorate, because they don't even know what government does.
Well, that's an interesting angle to it, and we'll definitely come back to that because I'm quite big on communication myself. But do you think that if the president or the federal government, in the light of, or perhaps in the name or under the guise of an inclusive government, do you think the president maybe could have invited opposition parties such as your party and the PDP at least to accompany him to the COP? Because you know that the federal government thinks quite highly of COP28, because even in the budget speech, the president gave quite a bit of time to talking about the importance of it and the need for funding for agencies of government to garner as much funding as possible to ensure that we get the best of COP28. Do you think it would have been a good idea for the government to have all hands on deck, so to speak, on that trip to Dubai for COP28?
In a stable society where there's no legitimate issue, which was being chanted at the National Assembly, trying to shower in legitimacy and all, when there's no legitimate issue on it, it would have been a very ideal situation where you seek for ideas, consult. Some people may give you, they may even have some of the technocrats who have very fundamental ideas on how it runs in the COP. You see, most of the problem we have, having been to that particular program once, I noticed that we go in with some of our good ideas that we want to sell to the world. As we speak now, my brother, we are servicing consumption as a country. We're not servicing production, just like our principal, His Excellency Peter Obi, would say. We don't go out to think that we are exporting something that is valuable, that can bring in income to the country. We only use any opportunity that comes as to say we are going there to a kind of a jamboree. I've never been to Dubai. So this is an opportunity. Since I'm working under this particular, this is a program that, because letters will be sent to each of the ministries, then the ministries will generate ideas of people who will travel, and then they will spend money. So for me, it could have been a good idea under a legitimately recognized and acceptable government by all, at least certain number. It may look very, very funny. Some people say, why are we still on this particular job? Because we are not yet convinced, even though we accept the ruling of the Supreme Court, but we are not yet convinced. So for us, even if we are invited, we will look at it as we are giving legitimacy to the government. But as we are speaking right now, what I'm saying, what our principal has said, is a free consultancy, and he has continuously been saying it. For those who are smart in thinking, they will now start taking seriously some of the things that we are saying, what our principal is saying, some of what Nigerians are saying, as a free consultancy for them to make amends and correct it. So whether we are invited or not invited, we are already contributing. If they feel that it's valuable for them to take, let them take it, so that we can now focus our attention on criticizing other things. Criticisms lead to improvement for those who want to improve in their governance.
Okay, just one quick one. When you talk about legitimacy, I'm looking at legitimacy, the meaning of legitimacy from the Oxford Language Dictionary, and it says it is conformity to the law or to rules. The second meaning says ability to be defended with logic or justification. This issue has gone as far as the highest court in the land, which one might argue is the highest level of legitimacy in Nigeria. Are you saying that the Supreme Court is not strong enough to give legitimacy to a government?
I thank you very much for your last definition. You said logic. Logic. In this situation, what we are talking about, does this particular definition of governance in our country today define anything logic? Does it in any way? So it's a question I will throw back to you. It doesn't at all. So, but as Democrats, we have already conformed with what is provided against the law. And the law says that if you are taking this matter to the highest court in the land, which of course is under scrutiny at the moment, you will of course have nothing to question. And our principal has said we have come to our last bus stop in the process. But that doesn't mean that I, as a person now, has really accepted that particular, but I'm taking it based on the provisions of law. So that's where we stand. But logically, it's completely in the shortest thinking of a human being. How could you explain to me where I go to court, I obtain a certified true copy of a document of the processes of the election, and my own court that was supposed to be in the protection of the law, which as to speak up to today, the CTC of that particular judgment has not been given to us based on the law that they are supposed to even protect, that even they are supposed to be the one that execute, that it has a certain limit of date and time in which you can give me a certified true copy of the judgment you passed on me. That has not been done as we speak right now. And then here we are going to say what is the legitimacy of our court. And obviously, it does not make any sensible logic. It does not, based on your definition.
Mr. Tanko, I mean, I'm just wondering, did your principal directly, or yourself being the spokesperson, do you have direct contact? Did you reach out to anyone in government saying, listen, can we have this, and that? Just, I mean, probably before or even for this purpose?
Of course, we have not written to the government, quite true, but then we are all living as Nigerians. Did the government also actually come clean to say this is a movement that we are going? You know, in a proper, maybe in the parliamentary system or in the document, the Freedom of Information Bill already been passed. The information should have been given to the common Nigerians because there is no connect. I am a Nigerian just like you and I, and just like any person in position of power. It's my right to be informed what to use my own tax payment to do. Even if how do you expend it? It's my right to know. If I don't pay my tax, you will ask me a question. Tanko, you have not paid your tax. I have a landed property in Abuja. Just recently, the Minister of the Federal Capital Authority alerted everybody that you have not paid your land rent. You have not paid. And so time, I'm giving you 2 weeks to pay, otherwise I will revoke your license. These are information already for them to get the money. And I went and I paid. What that money will be used for, I'm supposed to know. If the money is supposed to be used for creating more roads, better environment, water, electricity, and then good school, public school for the Nigerian people, I must know. I must ask question what the money is being used for. And it's my right.
Okay.
It should be given to me.
When Mr. Peter Obi said that they're going to now effectively play the role of opposition, it's not going to go away. I mean, it appears as though this is going to be what we expect from him moving forward. But I do remember too, at that time, there were some obedience who also thought, why would he make that kind of statement? What does opposition do? Just issue statements to what government has said. So they didn't like that kind of scenario. Did you get that feedback, and what was your reaction to it?
No, I have not gotten any negative feedback. In fact, to tell you the information I am getting is that we are not even doing enough. What they want, what some of the people may want, is some of them physical demonstration and being on the street, which is also within the confines of our democratic process. But the truth about it is that, with all due respect to this particular government, they have a vicious way of doing things. Remember, there are issues that some of us raise, and before you know it, there were statements being echoed by the secretary of the APC that we should be arrested, even though we are exercising our fundamental democratic rights. So if we go for another and see we are scared, remember, we have led various demonstrations in this country. I, in particular, was the field marshal of Save Nigeria Group. I have led in almost all, if not all, labor movement demonstration in the interest of the Nigerian people. Some of our colleagues have been killed in this particular process. Some of them have been jailed in this particular. I'm a product of Ganifa Wemi, a protege of Balariba Musa, and of course, Otto Nwanko. These are things that we have done. At the point in time when there were issues of fuel subsidy, remember we were on the street with Balariba Musa, the Nigerian Labour Congress, in the street of Kaduna, and particularly myself, Shehu Sani, Balariba Musa, and even the custom director as at that time, Ahmed Ali. So we have been doing things for the interest of the country, and we have remained consistent. So as far as the Nigerian people want to see more of this particular action, they are looking for heroes that can emancipate the country. The country is dying gradually.
All right, Mr. Zanko. So I guess that's an inkling of what to expect from Labour Party moving forward. So we do thank you, Dr. Yunusa Tanko, Chief Spokesman, Labour Party's Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Yes, and I think the government said that they will respond to inquiry tomorrow, so they will be here to speak to some of these figures, the figures that are out there, and what the scenario is. So look forward to that one tomorrow. Now, we do have some messages coming through. This is from Victor, who says, Nigeria's system of democracy is unique because we Nigerians don't even know what democracy looks or feels like. Our government treats us like we owe them. So we, the masses, are totally irrelevant to how governance runs. We think this is sad.
Well, this is one which is an email from Hussein, and he says he's writing from Surulere. He says, the public outcry trailing the large number of the nation's delegation to COP28 is not unexpected, especially at a time when hunger and poverty is an alarming rate in the same country. However, if we start seeing concrete benefits of our participation at the event in due course, then some Nigerians may change their opinions on it. That's coming from Hussein.
George, also in another email, says about the Nigerian budget issues, we have to start telling ourselves the truth about the realities on ground in our society today. We all should know that none of the budgets in Nigeria has impacted positively on the lives of ordinary citizens of Nigeria. I honestly wonder why a country would come out with a yearly budget, including the supplementary, and yet our roads, hospitals, unemployment, and food supplies are in very bad shape.
Well, I got this one from Bashir Bala, who says, Nigeria is competing with China in sending large number of delegates of over 1,400 at COP28. We hope Nigeria or Nigerian, I think Nigeria will continue to compete with other developed countries in other developmental activities, not only tourism tours. Okay, we'll put all those questions through to the government when they do come in. So just stay with us at that time because they will be here to respond to all of this response and outcry and anger on the part of Nigerians. So that is the show today. We do thank you all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain. Goodbye.
I'm Nel Tagbe. Have a good day.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a productive one.